How good do you have to be to earn the right to criticize something for being too difficult? A common retort against people that criticize games for being too difficult is, maybe you're just bad at the game. These types of statements implicitly suggest that the right to criticize the difficulty is limited to skilled players that have almost no struggle with the games on which they are providing their opinion on. Even if we assume this to be true, which I don't, obviously, it still seems kind of paradoxical. How can you criticize something as being too difficult if you possess the requisite skill to overcome the challenge with relative ease? Can you, objectively, determine that something is too hard for other players when you personally did not even struggle with it yourself? Unfortunately, there's no simple answer to this. We don't say, how high of a spice tolerance do you need to have to say that something is too spicy? Nor, how fast of a runner do you need to be to say a walk was too long? People, of course, have a right to their opinion, but people need to determine whether or not the opinion or input is veritable or applicable to their life. If someone needs some objective measure from someone else to figure that out, then I really don't know what to do for them. Critical thinking can't be conveyed through a few short comments. It's something learned over many years, and engaging with people instead of writing them off, which is all too common, and unfortunately, encouraged in such online, pseudo-elitist spaces. Also, difficulty itself is entirely subjective, and at the end of the day, you can only really decide if it's too difficult for you. It also doesn't help that there's a lot of people who get a superiority complex over difficult tasks, and that unfortunately, not limited to just gaming. But, on the flip side, claiming that a game is too difficult for you doesn't really require any kind of mastery over the game. You are just describing your own experience. But if you want to properly critique the game and its difficulty, especially if it's one with complex systems and mechanics, then naturally, you will need to at least be able to understand and play the game at a somewhat competent level to give a fair critique. All of that depends on a case-by-case basis, and the criticism is only really valid for yourself, but it is completely valid in that context, and you don't really need to justify it to anybody. Different people, after all, have different comfort zones. See you again soon with another such random thoughts.